Everybody, welcome back. Told you we'd be back. It's another spring preview position, baby. And we're talking about the offensive line. Adam's head is perspiring with just quivering anxiety and anxiousness because my man is ready to pop because we're talking about the trenches and he is excited. And that gets me excited. And I know Kevin's excited. So let's talk about it. Because to me, I think the most intriguing room of the spring for me, it's like this and like maybe wide receiver. I don't really know because there's a whole lot of change going on in this room. Florida State, as you know, I'm sorry for bringing up bad memories, but about 4 years ago, that was a really bad room. Like really, really bad. Like I have no idea what your local like 12-year-old like Pop Warner team's looking like. Probably could have slotted in your left tackle and maybe got a couple of snaps in that 2020 season. It was bad news Bears. Much different. Offensive line guru Alex Atkins has done a very nice job of infusing bodies both via high school, but mostly the transfer portal into this group. And there's been a lot of improvement. I think it's fair to say that the unit last year, I don't know if I want to say disappointing because I feel like they had a lot of unrealistic expectations placed on them via just the talent level of the guys that they had. But I would say that they performed averagely last year, which is not something you typically see on an undefeated 13-1. Orange Bowl didn't happen team. And we saw so many times last year. We talked about the running back preview, and we talked about it every single week on film review. That even there was always stuff to clean up on each game, man. There was a lot of big plays left out on the field, and we always thought like, oh, it'll sort itself out with time. It'll sort itself out with continuity. It never really did, in my opinion, and I think y'all's opinion as well. So I'll get to your thoughts on that, but let's just talk about, actually, before I talk about all the people that left and all the people that came in, Adam, what was your assessment of the offensive line play last year? I think he was just meh.
Yeah, I think you put it well with me. It was just inconsistent, especially from the tackle position. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with the Meach and the Keandre Jones rotation.
Yeah.
I never took the time to ask or really want to know why, because ultimately it doesn't matter. That's what they were doing. But that was just always weird to me. It was always awkward. You don't typically rotate a lot of your offensive line. I mean, you get 5, you build continuity with those 5, and you go with those 5. I mean, to be very blunt, I thought they missed on the Casey Roddick take. I didn't think he played well last year. There were times where he did play
flashes.
Well.
There were flashes.
Yeah, there were flashes, but I didn't think consistently. I didn't think he played well. Jeremiah Byers is the same. I know. That was a big name in the fan base of people going at him and wanting him benched and all these things. And there were times where he got sat down. I was always willing to remain patient with him because you could see the athletic traits. You could see moments where the light bulb came on, and I think that this year he's going to play very well. I'm excited for what I think he's going to be, and we'll get to see that hopefully in the spring. Where he's taking that next step. I saw a picture of him from workouts. I mean, he looked jacked. I mean, he looked like he's put some good mass and bulk on. So
good
overall, I think you hit the nail on the head with the meh, but it was just too damn inconsistent.
Yeah. Kev, what do you think? I mean, as a guy who likes to see offenses operate at the highest level, had to just had to grind your gears like he will every now and then. Maybe when they're in the way of like a receiver. Yeah. Of the 7 plays that you watched from Florida State's offensive line last year, how many of them did you enjoy?
Yeah, none. I did a video back in the day about them struggling with counter, and honestly, so I'll say this: the tight ends didn't do them any favors. So oftentimes you're running counter, you're pulling tight ends. You had Jaheim Bell and Kyle Morlock, 2 guys who had never really blocked at this level very much, having to block at the point of attack. That was tough. That made the rest of them look bad. But yeah, pretty consistently with, Casey Roddick and Jeremiah Byers, they were missing assignments a lot. And then you had, Bless Harris, who's an amazing pass blocker that we've kind of documented that, but never could he never had the strength to be a good run blocker. You had, Darius Washington, who just could never really stay healthy, has never really been healthy. Same with Robert Scott. And it's like, the guys you have are kind of new to the system, are kind of missing blocks here and there, aren't necessarily making that one block you need to spring it. And you have a running back that is elite when you get a clean block, but wasn't necessarily elite at making someone miss at the point of attack. And so, I think all of that, and you have tight ends that aren't helping you out, and all that added up to a kind of disappointing offensive line performance last year. That I think is partially on them, but I think there were confounding factors that made them look worse than they really probably were. But hopefully this year's different. AB was talking about Byers. I think what we're going to watch, he clearly has talent. He's a huge dude that moves really well. His problem was missed assignments, missed blocks, missed bad eye discipline. And I think we'll see improvement there. And I think that's somewhere you can improve. And I think there's optimism about some of the transfers and stuff coming in and kind of cementing what you have in this offensive line.
I think that they've been forced to, and this is just an aside, but I think they've been forced to swim in prospect waters that maybe don't lend themselves to having a dominant offensive line. I mean, I don't think that they've been able to go out and get the 6'6", 325-pound offensive lineman that moves like a cheetah.
Right, like the mutants,
yeah,
right? The different.
You're starting to see some of those guys work their way in. You went and got Jeremiah Byers. He moves like you want a big-time offensive lineman to move like. You went out and the guy you're going to mention here soon, Terrence Ferguson. That's what you want an offensive lineman to look like in your program. So I think we're starting to now see them get some of those guys in. You just need to really start seeing them come in waves.
So let's talk about the waves, because there were waves going in, waves going out, and waves staying. So who left? Roddick left. Dimitri Emanuel left. Bless Harris left. Quayshawn, and then a bunch of younger guys: Kanai Charlton, Quayshawn Sapp, Thomas Richardson, Thomas Richardson, Schrader, Daughtry Richardson, whatever. Whole bunch of younger guys. Greener pastures for them. I think they'll get more playing time. The new faces: 2 interior guys. Richie Leonard came over from Florida. 775 snaps. Solid, consistent. I'm very excited. I think we are collectively more excited about that prospect than everybody else. I think that he's a solid hand and he knows what he's going to give you. Yep. Terrence Ferguson was the other interior prospect from Alabama. Athletic, needs to clean up. Yep, looks the part, moves the part. Then you got some younger kids, Jaden Todd, Ty Hilton are going to be there for the spring. And then the nucleus of the guys that are back. We talked about Jeremiah Byers. We talked about Maurice Smith. You mentioned Darius Washington as somebody that was hurt. Mo Smith's a warrior, dude. They've been trying to replace him for a couple years. They just can't do it. And the kid never gets off the field. You're going to have to physically take one of those hooks from a Looney Tunes cartoon when they rip people off the stage. That's the only way you're going to get that kid off the field. He's a warrior. Darius Washington, who's been a utility guy, had to play way too early in his career at Florida State, has been nothing but solid. Keandre Jones, will be interesting to see what kind of shape he comes in last year. He had some fun pancake blocks interspersed with some interesting stuff. Robert Scott. If only Robert Scott could get healthy. How many times have we all said that? But no, that's a legitimate, really, really good prospect that they have on this team. And then some of the younger guys. Which guy from this group is going to take the next step up into that 2 deep? Is it going to be Jalen Early, who got some time at tackle last year? Is it going to be Julian Armella, either on the inside or the outside? Could it be guard Bryson Estes? Then you got even younger kids like Andre Otto, Lucas Simmons. It's an interesting mix. So I know Kev has got the Duke game where a lot of these guys that are staying played. But what do you guys think right now in your head is that that spring starting five from left to right out of all those names. All those guys left, all those guys came in, all those guys stayed. How do you think it looks? They got a lot of options.
Yeah, and this is pre-spring, so I think it's okay for us to talk about it.
We don't know. No practices, no nothing.
We're
No
breaking a rule. We apologize now.
speculation.
We haven't talked to anybody.
Pure speculation.
We haven't been out there talking to anybody, giving away state secrets.
I live in Iowa. I got no secrets.
I live in Delaware. Come on. I have no clue what the hell's going on down in Florida. I mean, I think it would be safe to assume you went out and brought Terrence Ferguson in from Alabama. There was talk that Alabama wanted him to play center. He wanted to play guard. So it would be safe to assume you went out and got that guy because you want him to play guard for you.
And you told him he was going to play guard. You would think, right? Yeah.
So I would probably peg him at left guard. I'm never, even after Mo graduates and leaves, I'm not going to take him out of center because it just feels like that. And I'm going to call him, well, I'm not going to do this. I would mean it in the greatest form of offensive lineman respect if I called him a sumbitch, because that's what he is.
Yeah.
He is going to be at center. I mean, I personally would play Darius Washington there, but it's going to be Maurice Smith, and I'm just not going to bang my head on the wall anymore because that's who's going to be there, and he's earned that opportunity and that right.
Absolutely.
So I would think it's safe to assume you're going to line him up at center.
I love the way you start all annoyingly too. You start at left guard and work to center. Who's next?
Well, I'm just trying to put the puzzle pieces together.
All right, okay. Work it together.
At right tackle, I think you're going to stick with Jeremiah Byers, right? I mean, that's where we'll put it all together when we're done.
Boop, boop, boop.
All right, so far, left guard Ferguson, center Maurice Smith, right tackle Byers. So it leaves left tackle and right guard. Right guard, you went out and got Richie Leonard. You brought Richie Leonard in here. He's got a ton of experience. He's a guy that's played a boatload of football. Is he gonna challenge Mo for center? Does that make a lot of sense? I think he's played a little bit of center, but he looked really good at left guard for Florida last year. So I think that's your right guard with Keandre Jones rotating in there still as a reserve.
Okay.
And then at left tackle, is Jalen Early ready to take the next step? Darius Washington was a second-team all-conference guard or tackle for you last year. You're really going to sit down on the bench, and he was your highest graded by PFF offensive lineman also.
76.1. Yep.
This is a player. He is my favorite offensive lineman out of all these players. I'm not saying that means he's the best, but he's my favorite. This is a player who early in his career got forced to play, wasn't ready. He missed an offseason because of a shoulder injury, wasn't able to be in the weight room getting his body right. We've seen when he's had an offseason to prepare for the upcoming year, he's always improved and gotten better. I believe he's had a healthy offseason this year. I expect him to come in and take that left tackle job and run with it. Now, who knows what the hell the deal is with Robert Scott? I'm not even going to pretend to know whether he's going to be able to play or not. But even if he is, I think you got to look at him in a reserve role at this point. Maybe you let him challenge Ferguson at guard. Maybe he and Byers or he and Darius battle it out. It feels like at this point it's hard to depend on him when you're talking about building your offensive line out.
And it might be better for him to be the swing guy, right? Not have that full workload come because Florida State season, you're starting in Dublin with Georgia Tech, and then luckily you get a bunch of bye weeks, but just maybe put him on the shelf until you need him and have him be your swing guy because Darius is solid. Like as long as he can stay healthy, he's solid, and his health is way less of a question mark.
And Mo's going to get banged up, right? And if Mo gets banged up, maybe it'll be nice if you have the opportunity to slide Darius in center, which I think is his most natural position. I think is his best position. You could slide him into center and put Rob out there at tackle and let Mo actually heal up. You've never been able to do that.
No, it's always been like DEFCON, whatever the worst DEFCON is. As soon as like Mo gets, I'm not big on DEFCON numbers, but when Mo gets hurt, it's like, oh crap. Kev, what do you think about Adams? speculated with no inside info pre-spring means nothing at all. Starting 5. Do you like it?
Yeah, I think that it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. I agree with almost everything he says. I mean, we've been calling the Darius Washington at center thing for years, and it's just never really kind of worked out that way, except for in emergencies. But you'd like to see him to be a little bit more comfortable snapping the ball. You'd like for them to be comfortable with that as a backup option or as a starting option. You'd like to know that there are 2 people that can snap the ball that you really trust to block. But yeah, part of me feels bad for Darius Washington. Like, he's a kid that clearly has talent, but because of situations, he's never been able to have one spot, right? He can't just be a tackle or be a center,
Couldn't be a specialist. Yeah, he wasn't afforded that opportunity. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate for him, but hopefully this year he continues to really excel in that role and, wherever he gets the opportunity to play, because this is the offensive line and people are going to go down and he's going to be there. I think he has an opportunity to succeed. And I think the people around him too are just, guys are starting to look a little bit different, and now you've got, early, you've got Armella, and these are 2 names that people seem pretty confident in, people seem pretty excited about as backups. And that's a good place to be too.
I like the time that Early got when he was in at tackle. I think he showed something. It'll be an interesting one. I agree, Adam, Kev. I like that 5. I'd say to me the most tenuous one is left guard. I wasn't in love. I love the athletic profile of Terrence Ferguson. I was not in love with the film and the quality of play. Like, we'll see with him transition into a new offense that it asks a lot of the offensive linemen. There's a lot of stuff going on blocking wise, scheme wise, pulling wise. Like, it's not the easiest one to get integrated in as an offensive lineman. But let's watch some film where we see a lot of these guys that we project in that speculative, no info inside disclaimer.
In fairness, Brendan, I think, had the same 5 in his spring preview that he put up on the website. So
I said I don't know. I'll agree, but I put a question mark at left guard. I'm not sure. I gotta see Terrence do it a little bit more. But let's watch some film of the Duke game from last year, and we can see how these guys perform together.
Yeah. So
who's where, Kev?
I'm trying to get a better view. I believe we definitely have Jeremiah Byers.
Is that Oben or what? What's the tackle or the defensive end that ended up at Notre Dame?
Oben.
RJ Oben, I think. Yeah.
We have Mo at center. Meach at right guard, I believe.
But Keandre will come in. He'll play. Right. He'll rotate in, and then Darius at left tackle.
Yeah, I think Darius comes in. I think this is Bless right now, but Darius does get a good amount of snaps. So right now we can kind of focus on Mo and Byers, 2 guys who we think will start.
Yeah.
And if we go back to the beginning, this first clip,
it's rough.
You can see Byers.
It's great there, and then
his feet just kind of stop.
Well, I don't love the lunge. He's trying to. The 2-hand punch isn't great here.
Yeah, he just kind of gets impatient, right? Yep. So
I think he stops trusting his athleticism at times and allows a guy who's a really athletic defensive end and a really good player to get around him.
Looks a lot better there on that rep.
Yeah, he does a good job kind of pinning this tackle in and working his way up.
Which is an area where we saw him struggle. Now, this is pretty easy. I mean, he's got all the way on the backside here. This not a difficult block for him.
These are great angles. I mean, Mo has to block down on this guy, and he gets work all the way back here. They've got good angles here. This is one of the reasons why this works so well.
But you look out on the field, I mean, you see a lot of different body types. Meach, who's a great player in his own right. But, a little shorter, a little stubbier from what you would want from a prototypical guard. You go get Terrence Ferguson. He's what you want him to look like. I mean, if you're drawing up an offensive guard, I mean, he's what that looks like. Bless is probably closest to what you got for an offensive tackle. A little top heavy, maybe not. Like you said, we've pointed out he's not a great offensive or run game blocker. Byers is maybe, there's some debate about whether he's maybe more of a guard build than a tackle build, but I think he gets away with it because he's got pretty long arms and he's pretty athletic.
He moves really well. Yeah. When he knows where he's doing and what he's going, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, watch Byers in this clip. You can kind of get a sense of his athleticism. Number 63 that I just highlighted. Just moves really smoothly in space. And
a little Y screen. You'd like to see him finish a little bit better. There's a nice block on outside zone.
Yeah, he does a really good job here. So he's gonna kind of has to win outside here, the outside zone. He does a good job, gets his hips around.
And they do a good job as a group up there. It was an issue for them during the season. It seemed like on a lot of their double teams or zone blocks like that they just weren't in sync. There just didn't seem to be a lot of chemistry there. And on that one with Biscuit, who sadly, I'll miss you, Biscuit. They did a good job working together in tandem.
Yeah, Biscuit and Meach just don't win here, so that's kind of what blows that up.
Yep.
The timing, the positioning's off on a lot of this stuff.
You're running tossing the boundary. It happens.
Yeah. Well, he held up okay there. Stalemate.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Mo, we know how athletic Mo is out in space.
Yeah. So
Doesn't
Mo
make
is
a big impact on the play, but we know what he is.
He did a good job selling the block and then getting out and downfield on the screen. Mm-hmm. Savvy, moves well.
I think Mo is really important in a year like this one upcoming because he's going to be in complete control of your protections, getting you into the right looks when you've got a brand new quarterback under center. I think that's something that's going to go overlooked as everybody analyzes all these different positions heading into spring and then heading into the season. But you've got a brand new quarterback. With Jordan Travis, he knew this playbook inside and out. He had been in this system for what felt like 25 years. And Mo, hell, I think Mo's been here since 1989.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going to be a calming influence for DJ in that Mo's going to know what to get into. He's going to know what looks they want to be, setting their protections to and whatnot. He's going to have complete control of that.
Yeah, you see Byers just kind of whiff this block here. That's kind of what you're talking about. He's got the size and athleticism, but he just...
And that was the tail of the...
actually, this might have been...
just on the tight end. He's climbing.
I don't know if it's his job to help this tight end with this double team first before climbing, or if he's just supposed to climb.
I think he's supposed to climb.
That's a hard block for a tight end. JT's not happy.
It's just a down block.
Those are the type of runs we're trying to eliminate from this offense this year with adding Roydell, with adding DJ, with adding some more experience, guys on the interior. This can't. You got to be a better, obvious rundown team. They just haven't been, for how productive the offense has been. They've just not been good at it for a while. What a catch that was.
Their Byers is patient, a little more patient than what we saw earlier. Doesn't throw both hands out there and get beat with speed. Does give up a little bit on the bull rush, but you want to see him anchor. But I think having the opportunity to be in a legit strength and conditioning program for a full off season will help him.
Yeah, I think that a lot of his problems had very little chance of being fixed in season last year, but there are a lot of things that now that you have the tape, you see kind of where he's messing up, where his eyes might not be in the right place, or where he might be a little impatient or not trusting his athleticism. Those are things you can fix. He has the physical abilities. That's why people loved him so much as a transfer. But I mean, same thing with Morlock. I mean, Morlock has the physical capabilities. It's just translating that to the next level now.
Yeah,
All right,
Mo,
so that's all right. So Keandre's in now at right guard.
Yeah, Keandre Jones.
Look, he's a people mover, but his foot speed's not great. So I'm curious, did he take it upon himself to lean down a little bit for this upcoming season, sacrifice maybe a little bit of the dry blocking to be a little bit more athletic in the pass pro, and in some of the run game stuff they want to be able to run counter and whatnot, some outside zone. Did he unlock a little bit of athleticism by losing a little bit of weight?
I think it would help his all-around game. He's just very, like you said, heavy-footed, plotter.
Yeah.
And even here, he gets stood up here, so I'm not sold that he's just destroying people with that size. I don't think you're losing too much. Yeah, I mean, you have tools to work with, and these transfers. I mean, Richie Leonard, someone we haven't really talked that much about, is someone that's a good player. Was a good, probably one of the better offensive linemen on a good offensive line at Florida last year.
Yeah.
He's solid, man. You know what you're gonna get. It's not gonna blow your skirt up or anything. But dude, you don't have to worry about the whiff. He's always gonna be in the right position. And I think he was more physical. I thought I liked his physicality, at least the mentality that he played the position with. It's gonna fit him well with this offense.
I mean, there's a realistic scenario that Terrence Ferguson is like Byers, where it's like he's ideally you don't have to play him as much year one so he can get some experience, in a controlled setting and kind of work his way in there. And maybe Richie Leonard helps you kind of make that transition smoother,
Yeah.
I'm with you because that's the value of getting these guys like a Jeremiah Byers, Terrence Ferguson. They're multi-year athletic guys, man. Give the bearded wonder, king of the combine, Josh Storm, multiple years with these guys. It's gonna be magic, baby. It's just guaranteed.
Here's the swing around
from a previous video.
I'm really excited about Richie Leonard. I'm really excited about Richie Leonard. I think Richie Leonard's a great get. I think he's going to fit in really well in this offensive line. We obviously broke down his commitment, looked at a little bit of his tape. He's a player that
is that Darius?
That's D-Wash.
Oh man, he gets back, dude. He gets back.
It's debatable on whether you want to get that much depth, but I think part of it's lowering this screen away.
Guys up the field,
but it's smooth. I mean, he gets back there pretty well. D-Wash can be such a good guy, lineman if he's just given a role, man. I think it's there.
I think so too. I think he's one of your starting tackles. I like what he gives you from that position, and so did the analytics.
But this is kind of what we're talking about with Mo, where we saw him move well in space earlier. Now he's gonna have a double team here, kind of at the point of attack. You'd like to see him get this a yard or two back. You'd like to get a little bit of wiggle room for this duo or inside zone or whatever this is, and just the double team gets stood up here.
He's good. He's good as a center on the double team of getting his arms under the guy and getting in good position, but he needs a good dance partner with him to deliver the blow. And Roddick, that just wasn't Roddick's game. He didn't have very violent hands, in my opinion.
Remember this? Good times.
Made me sick. Look, so I kind of mentioned it earlier, like they've got to start getting this offensive line to look like what a Florida State offensive line should look like.
Physical. They got to be physical.
From a physical standpoint. It needs to start looking different. They've gotten by with a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of guys that work really hard, but it's time to start injecting some physicality and some athleticism into this group.
And I agree with you, Adam, both on the how they look coming off the bus, but the way that they play, man, there wasn't. They just need to be more violent with the mentality, with their hands. I just don't remember too many good punches last year. right? When we were watching film,
not a lot of movement.
Stalemates at best. It was a lot of stalemates.
Yeah.
It's a good ball by JT. Gonna miss that kid. All right.
Darius up at the second level.
Yeah, Darius does a really good job. He kind of whiffs helping out this block, but you can see the athleticism as he recovers and still pins this block. And oftentimes with counter, if you can get these pullers to block, this is the block that really matters. This second level tackle moving up,
especially with all the spilling that they saw in a lot of games this past year. It was the block that killed them. It was the block they couldn't get to.
Yeah, Byers missed this block a fair amount of times.
Yeah, when you're spilling, these backers are running fast over the top of it because they know they've got to get to the sideline or on the edge of the tackle box to make the play on counter. And Byers missed that quite a bit this year.
Yeah, this is textbook.
It's nice, man. Darius walls them off nice, and there you go, 8-9 yards.
Yeah, you can see how just that athleticism, the ability to shoulder up, that's the block that makes this happen, you know?
Yeah, doesn't get like his weight off balance to where he's reaching and getting an obvious holding penalty. Oh, great rep, man. And then boom.
Yeah, here they do a really good job of spilling.
Yeah.
Meach just couldn't log that well enough, and it blocks everything up.
No, they just create a pile inside. Mo gets beat pretty bad here.
Yeah. Mo gets, yeah. So that's another thing with Mo. He's going to be in the right place, but he's not that physical specimen you're talking about as a high ceiling kind of guy.
Johnny.
Good job. Good in pass pro, though. I always like how Maurice moves in pass pro.
Yeah, great pass pro. This is not the best rep to say this, but the offensive line I think was pretty exceptional in pass protection last season.
They were much better at it, like much and so noticeably better at it. Which interesting. Mike Norvell being a run first guy, man. Florida State just 2023 looked so much different than a lot of those Memphis teams did, right?
Yeah, and they had to be. You had a quarterback that was a special player. You had an offensive line that was better at pass blocking than run blocking, and you had two wide receivers who are realistically going to be pretty decently high in the draft.
I think it's fair to maybe move the conversation forward to two of the young guys in Jalen Early and Julian Armella. I know there's a ton of fanfare over Julian Armella. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I don't want to say I've heard a lot of disappointing things, but I don't think at this rate, at least coming out of like last season, he's a guy that's ready to push for a role. And I think it's time that like if he's going to get it, he needs to go get it now.
With a lot of those guys of that, I'm with you too. Similar stuff, but I'm with you. It is time for those guys that you have scouted years ago in high school, you have developed. It's time for a step up, right?
Yeah, Jalen Early, it seems as a guy who's potentially ready to find a role, maybe as a third tackle, or depending on what's up with Rob Scott, maybe as a fourth tackle. It seems like he's closer to being there. Lucas Simmons lost quite a bit of last season to some nonsense.
He's still far off, right?
Yeah,
impressive athletic profile, but
Andre Otto they really like as a potential center down the road. I think that there's pieces and physical pieces that are coming, but I think everybody asks about Julian Armella. I don't know if we're there yet to say he's ready to step in and play. He finds himself on the ground quite a bit. I mean, I know Chris has talked about it quite a bit on the bench podcast about him being on the ground and maybe not quite being ready to be there. So I think fans need to maybe just pump the brakes on that one a little bit. Look at Jalen Early. Maybe he's a little bit closer to being ready to step on the field than what Julian is.
Yeah, and like you said, Adam, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You're going to
Right.
see that the movement this offseason, because
Right.
there's a lot of opportunity. There's a
Mhm.
lot of new guys getting integrated all over the place. Like if you want the opportunity, if you had the chance to physically mature, like because guys are allowed to make meteoric developments and jumps,
Right.
they are allowed to level up, and when we don't see them, this is the time to take advantage of that, because this is the room where there's a whole lot of change. There's a whole lot of unknowns. There's a whole lot of different combinations. So I think that this spring, I'm so excited to see the battles and the storylines unfolding in this room. And we will be with you every step of the way to tell you what is happening on Noles247.com. So if you're not subscribed, you won't know all those cool stories. You'll have nothing to talk about at the office.
Get
You'll lose
subscribed.
friends. You'll lose respect.
Ooh.
Like people won't generally enjoy your presence. You'll add to conversations. You'll go down a really black hole. So just subscribe to the
Ooh,
website.
best
It's
believe.
really cheap. You get Paramount Plus, which is cool. Like I think
Yeah,
Paw
Paw
Patrol
Patrol.
movies on there if you got kids. Like dope. What up, Ryder? Yep, Zuma, love them. So just go subscribe, and then subscribe to this YouTube channel, because it's us, man. Like we're the best, and you're the best. So it just makes sense.
If you want to sponsor us, like hit us up. We're down. Anybody out there want to sponsor?
What up, dude?
Do this.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Let us
We
know.
love
We'll
money.
take it. We love you guys, and we do love money, but we love you guys more. Anyway, see you soon for the next video. Keep chopping.
Bye-bye.